You're using caffeine wrong, and it's costing you performance every single day. My name is Adam Glover. I'm a performance nutrition consultant and educator, and today we're breaking down how caffeine actually works in the body, how you can use it strategically, and the 1% levers you can pull to improve your training performance. So let's start with how caffeine actually works in the body, what it does, what it doesn't, and what that actually means for you. Caffeine works by blocking a chemical called adenosine. This is something that builds up naturally over the day and signals tiredness. When caffeine blocks these receptors, it delays that fatigue signal. It makes you feel more focused, more alert, and more capable. It's important to note that caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. It just simply delays how quickly you feel tired. It also increases dopamine and adrenaline, which boosts motivation and reaction time. But the trade-off is too much can cause anxiety, restlessness, and jitters. And then there's genetics. People metabolize caffeine differently. While one person can have 3 coffees and feel fine, another person can feel overstimulated by having just half that. What this actually means to you is simple. Caffeine delays fatigue. And that's why when you use it properly, it can enhance your performance, your focus, and increase your training outputs. Now let's break down some of the biggest myths we see around caffeine, because most people are still relying on information that's decades out of date. Myth number 1, caffeine dehydrates you. Yes, caffeine has a mild diuretic effect, but only on those who aren't used to it. Your body adapts really quickly. For those even taking on 1 coffee a day, you'll be fine, and caffeine actually aids in your hydration rather than takes away from it. Myth number 2, caffeine burns fat. This sounds great, but it's misleading. While caffeine enables the mobilization of fatty acids, in other words, it makes more stored fat available, it doesn't magically increase fat loss. Training, nutrition, and energy balance are the fundamentals. Caffeine can support this, however, when it comes to fat loss, that's where you need to look at. Myth number 3, coffee is weaker than caffeine tablets or powder. The molecule is identical. Caffeine is caffeine. The difference is the consistency and dosing. A medium Starbucks latte can give you anywhere between 90 to 200 milligrams of caffeine, but you're getting 400 milliliters of water to get that 200 milligrams. Whereas a caffeine tablet can give you a quick 200 milligram hit in a small tablet form. So the difference comes from the size of the product, not the caffeine dose. Myth number 4, more caffeine equals more performance. Caffeine has a sweet spot. Most research showing 3 to 6 milligrams per kilogram of body weight is optimal for improving performance to when taken 45 to 90 minutes before an event or competition, or even just a normal training session. Going above that in an attempt to get more performance doesn't help. It just means more side effects. So now that we've covered the myths, let's talk about one of the most debated topics around caffeine today. Should you wait before having your first coffee in the morning? A lot of discussion comes from the idea that when you wake up, your body naturally produces a cortisol spike, your body's alertness hormone. Andrew Huberman has talked a lot about this, suggesting that if you take on caffeine during that cortisol peak, you'll naturally have a heavier crash later in the day. This is where that wait 60 to 90 minutes idea has come from. I'm not suggesting he's wrong, I'm just saying it's not that simple. I recently watched a video from James Hoffman. He's a coffee expert, and he concluded that this rule is far too rigid. Not everybody has the same cortisol rhythm. Some people train early. Some people get up at 4 a.m. for work. People have different peaks and troughs of their cortisol spikes. So actually, this rule isn't really helpful, and a lot of times it's completely unrealistic. So what actually matters? Your context, your habits, your training schedule, and how caffeine actually makes you feel. When I coach clients, I use one rule with this: hydrate before caffeinate. While this doesn't magically change how caffeine works in the body, oftentimes people wake up dehydrated, and this is a great habit stack to put on top of that. So what does all this actually mean to you? Well, the 60 to 90 minute rule isn't as rigidly enforceable as people would have us believe. If you train early, you work shift patterns, or you're fine taking on coffee as soon as you wake, it's absolutely fine. Just monitor how your sleep is, how your performance is, and how your afternoon energy levels are. That's it. So now let's talk about how we can effectively use caffeine in our training, where it can become a real performance tool. For strength and power work, heavy lifting, short burst, high intensity intervals, Caffeine helps by reducing the perception of effort and increasing drive. For endurance sessions, the same mechanism applies by reducing fatigue and maintaining power output for longer. What this means to you is really simple. Match the dose to the type of session you are competing. Don't use caffeine reactively and plan it ahead to use it intentionally to improve the performance of your day-to-day outputs. Now that we've covered all of that, let's talk about the 1% marginal gain tactics, the levers you can pull to get the absolute most out of caffeine. The first one is combining caffeine with L-Theanine. This is the calming amino acid held within green tea. This keeps the alertness from caffeine, but smooths out the stimulation. This is great for technical sessions, long work blocks, or parts where you just need to get that stimulation removed but keep the level of performance. The second is caffeine and creatine. Older claims have suggested they interfere with each other, but this is simply not true. They work on different systems, and it's especially important for strength and power athletes. The third is strategic tapering. If you've got a competition or testing week come up, a short deload, 3 to 5 days of lower caffeine intake, will make the effects noticeably more stronger when you reintroduce it on the day you need it. Now, let's move on to areas to avoid. Now, as powerful as caffeine can be, there are a few things you need to be aware of and avoid, because these are the areas where people sabotage their performance and sleep. The first is simply too much. Once your intake goes above 400 milligrams, anxiety, restlessness, and poor sleep quality become far more likely. And that will impact the next day performance, training sessions, and overall recovery. The second is timing, because caffeine has a 6 to 7 hour half-life. That afternoon coffee can still be really active at night. You might fall asleep easily, but your deep sleep quality will be severely impacted. The third is hidden caffeine. Pre-workout, energy drinks, soft drinks, teas, fat burners, they all add up. Most people drastically underestimate the amount of caffeine that they are taking on board every day. And finally, avoid using caffeine reactively. If you're tired, stressed, or under-recovered, caffeine won't fix the problem, it'll just cover it up. Leading to that loop, you're tired, you drink coffee, you have poor sleep, and you're tired again. So if I were to put all of that into a sentence to improve your performance, know your intake, be aware of timing, and use this as a tool, not as a crutch. Caffeine can be an incredible performance tool when you understand how it works and how to use it intentionally. If you found this breakdown helpful and you want more nutrition education broken down in a way that actually makes sense, don't forget to hit subscribe to the channel, and I massively suggest you check out the creatine video I released last week. That would be really helpful to build upon what we've spoken about today. Thank you so much for watching today, team. I hope you found it useful. Remember to do all of the things that I say to do. Get outside, get some steps in, train, hydrate, eat well, feel good, but above all, be kind, be happy. Let's go.